Kadosh Boker Or Masechet Nazir Daf 37A1 says the Gemara. You remember we went and we said that Abaye comes and he explains why is it not a question from the Braita even to a Shita, and he says like this. This we already did it yesterday, but just to do a quick chazara. Bishlema ledidi. It's good according to my Shita, which I'm going to say that what that Truma falls in Truma. Remember we have Truma and Chulin. And then we have another thing of Truma and Chulin, and we say that the Truma fell into the Truma and the Chulin fell into the Chulin. So he says, it's good according to me, that I'm going to say that Truma falls into Truma and Chulin falls into Chulin. The Amina, because I'm going to say, Mishum Deter Mitzaref Li Yisur, that Eter is going to be Mitzaref to Yisur, also for Shari Yisurim, which means that besides the concept of Yisure Nazir, right, also, right, it's going to be Mashim for the Shiur of Akezait. So then we're talking about Heter Mitzaref le'isur. Kegon de nefishe chulin. For example, there's a lot of chulin. Okay, Ela ledidcha, but according to you, the Amarta that you come and that you say, Mishum diika kezai b'chtei achila pras, you're going to have a kezai b'chtei achila pras. Kinefushe chulin may have it. Even if you're going to have a lot of chulin, what's it going to change anything? At the end of the day, it still fell in truma into chulin. So therefore, you have a kezai toch de achila pras, and therefore it should be a sur. So what are you going to say? So he comes and he says, Elmaleh, he comes and he tells him, Hanach letruma bizman hazeh d'Rabbanan. Nowadays, truma is d'Rabbanan. And therefore, since truma is d'Rabbanan, you cannot bring a proof to that which we're talking about, because again, always in d'Rabbanan, you could be mekel and say, right, shani omer, which is called tolin. Tolin means I'm going to depend. Or shani omer is that I say, that you could say, but basically, you should say, why are you saying? What does that mean? Truma fell into Truma. Why? Maybe the Truma fell into Chulin, and maybe the Chulin fell into Truma, and then everything is problematic. So no, because since it's D'Rabbanan nowadays, Truma, so therefore that's why we could be lenient, right, and say this. Okay? That's what we said yesterday. Amaleh Abaye, says Abaye to Rav Dimi, Mimai dehai nishrat leheter mitzaref li surudata. How do you know that when it says the concept of the Chol Mishrat Anavim Lo Yishteh, we're talking about Heter Mitzaref to Yisur? Dilma liten tam ki ikar hu deata. Maybe it's going to be for tam ki ikar. Let me explain both concepts. What do we just say that when it says that you're going to soak anything in grapes, you're also not allowed to drink it? So there, if you remember, we spoke about that if you're going to take a half a kazayit of bread, and then you're going to soak it in wine, right, or grape juice, doesn't matter what it is, anything that comes from the grapes, and then you come and you eat it, and now because it was soaked in it, now it has the volume, right, or the weight, well, but right, it has the volume of a kazait, full kazait, right? No, that's a little bit different. 1 minute, yeah, but it says what?
If it has the volume.
Well, obviously, if it doesn't have the volume, it's less than a kazait, but it has the volume, right? The volume or the weight, right, of the full kazait. So we just said that if it has the volume or the weight of the kazait, so then you're going to be chayav. Why? Because it's going to be mitzaref. Heter mitzaref li yisur. The heter, which is the bread, is going to be mitzaref to the yisur, which is the wine or the grape juice, and then it's going to be asur. Says the Gemara, who told you that that exactly is what the machloket is? Really, be'emet, maybe the entire concept here is tam ki ikar. Tam ki ikar means that even if you're not going to be mitzaref, but it's got the taste, and that's where Jonathan gets with his sherry cast. What does that mean? The taste. The taste means, for example, if I have meat that falls into milk, yeah, so tam ki ikar doraita. What does it mean? If it has a taste of milk, right, or the opposite, if the milk fell into the meat, whichever, but if it's got the taste of the other thing, so tam ki ikar is doraita. It's mamash, it's like eating that thing. So therefore, he comes and he says like this, if right now, when you're going to come and you're going to say that you soaked the bread in wine, the reason why it's a sur is not because that heter mitzaref to the yisur, but rather because tam ki ikar.
Then you don't need the size.
And you don't need the size. The fact that it tastes like wine, this is wine. You're having wine. You don't have the size. But you're having wine. Because a ta'am is like the ikar. Meaning the taste of it, it's like you're eating the actual essence of it. Okay? And that's the concept of ta'am. Noten netilat ta'am. We say batel b'shishim. Why do we say 60 times? Because usually after 60 times, there's no taste. It drowns out the taste. When you have something that gives 60 times, it drowns out the taste. There is once in a while, right, that it does not drown out the taste, and that's if it's something that's giving taste. Meaning Davar Davide letaima, something which is made to give taste. I'm going to ask you a question. You make a coffee, yeah, and you add milk. Do you add more than 60 times of milk to the coffee? No. You put a little bit of milk, but you already taste the milk, right? Or you put sugar. Is the sugar 60 times in the water? Think about it. You have an entire cup, and you put even two packages of sugar. You've got 60 times in the water, connected the sugar, but it still tastes sweet. Meaning that there are certain things which, even though it's got you have the 60, it still has the taste because it's something which is made for taste. So that's a little bit different. We're not going to get into that now, okay?
If there wasn't the question of the
So says the Gemara, Ulabaye, now according to Abaye, at the beginning he had the question of Rav Dimi, of Heter Mitzaref L'Yisur is only by Yisur and Nazir. So therefore he asked all these questions by other Yisurim. And then afterwards he went and he said, you know what, from the Pasuk of the Mishrat Anavim, we don't learn Heter Mitzaref L'Yisur, we learn Ta'am Keikar. That means basically we don't have this concept of Heter Mitzaref L'Yisur even by Nazir. This is the concept of Ta'am Keikar. So says the Gemara, Bata Deshanile. But now that we just answered all these answers, Elmaleh, now he comes and he said, Dilma liten Ta'am Keikar udata. So now he could actually come and teach us that Ta'am Keikar, and it's not going to be a Heter Mitzaref L'Yisur. The Tanya, we learned in a Braita, Mishrat. What does it mean when it says Mishrat, which you're soaking? Right? Liten Ta'am Keikar. Shim Sharan of Imemayim. If you come and you took grapes and you put it in water, and now yesh b'hem tam yain, and now you have like a taste of a grape juice in the water. So you came, you took grapes. You didn't crush the grapes. You put grapes in the water. Now afterwards, when you come and you're going to drink this water, it has a little bit of a taste of wine, like it has a taste of grapes, right? So therefore, it's going to be tam kikad. You're going to be chayav malkut, as if you ate the grapes itself. Meaning you did not eat one grape. You took out all the grapes, but you had the water, and the water, right? The grapes were soaked in the water, and now you drank the water, and the water tastes like grapes. So you get lashes. So here you're going to done, or by all the Yisurin in the Torah, Uma Nazir, just like by Nazir, Shen Yisuro Yisur Olam, that it's not going to be an Yisur Yisur Olam. Then Yisuro Yisur Na'ah, and it's not going to be Yisur Na'ah. V'yesh Eter Yisuro, and you have an Eter to its Yisur. So look how many things you have. You have, first of all, that a Nazir is not an Yisur Olam. The Isur is not an Isur Na'ah. It's not an Isur benefiting from it. Number 3, also, there's a Heter to Isur. Right? That means even within the Nezirut, you could come and you could do a Tarat Nedarim, and you could get out of the Nezirut. And still, Asabo Tam Kikar, right? You mean Tam Kikar. Kilea Kerem, when we're talking about Nisur Chamur. Like Kilea Kerem is when you do Kilaim. Remember, Kilaim is when you're mixing of the different fruits together, and you're planting them together. Like Sha'anez, you're putting 2 different clothings together. So you have Kilaim, Kilea Kerem. Sheisuran, you basically have your vineyard with another type of a fruit that they're growing together. Sheisuran Isurulam, that is always going to be asur. Isuran Isuranayan, it's asur ba'na'al, so you're not allowed to benefit from it. And eneter isuran, you can never permit this isur. Enodin she'asebo tam kikar, shouldn't be tam kikar as well. So for example, if you have water that you came and you put the grapes of kilaim and you soak them in, so for sure it should be asur. So says the Gemara, the same halacha would apply to orla, right? The exact same thing. And kavachomer b'shtayim from the other 2 of them also, because basically from the 3 chumrot, orla also has 2 of them, that it's more strict than nezirut. Okay, so therefore, since orla is more chamur, so you can learn orla also tam kikar from the nazir. Okay, why do you have 2 of them? Because the orla is going to be permitted after 3 years, so it's not isuro isurulam. It's a surbana, yes. Right? There's no heter li suro, yes. But it's not isuro isurulam. So you only have 2 out of the 3. Okay, so answers the Gemara, Amaler hau mirabbanan, answers one of the rabbis to Abaye, Rabbi Avu ki ka'amar, when Rabbi Avu comes and he says, when is he referring to? To Rabbi Akiva. So therefore he comes and he says that he's arguing on the Braita of Mishrat that to do with Heter Mitzaref L'Yisur. So therefore he comes and he says this of the concept of Tam Kikar, is obviously not like the Chachamim, which are arguing on them. And they say that even in Isurei Nazir, there's no such thing as Heter Mitzaref to Isur. So says the Gemara, which Rabbi Akiva? Hey Rabbi Akiva, which Rabbi Akiva are we talking about now? That we just said this year. Ilem, if you're going to tell me Rabbi Akiva, this Rabbi Akiva that we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva says, Afilu Shara Pito B'Yayin V'Yesh Bo Gedei Letzarev Kazai Chayav. that even if you come and you soak your bread and wine and you have a kazait, you're going to be chayav. So that means if you have in the pot a shiur kazeh with the wine, so he's going to be chayav. Which means that even if you have part of the bread that has no wine, here Rabbi Kiva holds that heter mitzaref leisur. So says the Gemara, umimai, how do you know this? Din mahudi kazai bene. Maybe he says, I know that you need a kazait shalem of the wine. Maybe not of the bread. You need a kazait, a full kazait of the wine. If you're going to come and you're going to tell me, how do you know this? He says, this comes to exclude the Tanakama, that he says you have to actually drink a full revi'it of wine. And Rabbi Akiva comes to argue on him. He says, no, the shiur is not revi'it, it's a kazait. And this is what we were mentioning before, David. Right? Very good. So usually liquids are what? The revi'it. Right? The revi'it alud. Usually. Right? But here all of a sudden, it's not a revi'it anymore. Right? So therefore, it's not a revi'it. So therefore, what are we going to do over here? Ella Rabbi Akiva the Braita. So it cannot be Rabbi, right? It has to be Rabbi Akiva the Braita. So again, usually it's a revi'it. Here, Rabbi Akiva is arguing and saying, no, even a kazait of wine. So it's going to be less. So he comes and he says now, but let's see Rabbi Akiva the Braita. The time we learned in the Braita, Rabbi Akiva says, Nazir sheshara pito b'yayin ve'achal b'kazait mipatu b'yayin chayav. According to Rabbi Akiva, he says, if you're going to soak the bread in wine, and then you eat the kazait, right, from the bread and the wine, both of them together, okay, not separately, meaning both together you had one kazait, you're going to be chayav. So it's mefurash that Rabbi Akiva holds that you're being mitzarefi to heter to isur, because here you're only eating one kazait, and in that one kazait you have bread, which is heter, plus you have wine, which is isur, and he still says you're going to be chayav. So this is a proof mefurash that Rabbi Akiva holds you're going to be mitzaref heter to isur. Okay, fine. So now we're going to look for another mekor because if you're going to tell me now that Mishrat teaches you heter mitzaref to isur, how do you know tam ki ikar? So Elmaleh Ravacha bered Ravavi al Ravashi says Ravacha bered Ravavi to Ravashi. According to Rabbi Akiva, that he says that this v'chol Mishrat is heter mitzaref to isur. Itin tam ki ikar. How do you know tam ki ikar? Remember, tam ki ikar means that if you're going to have the taste, it's like you're eating the actual food in itself. Okay. So he comes and he says, Yalif min basar v'chalav. You learn it from basar v'chalav, right? Lav tam be'alma hu v'asir. At the end of the day, it's only a tam be'alma, right? Because the basar only has a little bit of taste of the chalav, right? Or the chalav only has a little bit of taste of the basar, and therefore it's still going to be asur. So same thing, hachanami. So to here, loshna, there's no difference. Meaning he can learn it from basar v'chalav. Basar v'chalav, when you're cooking meat and milk, you pull out the meat. You had a piece of meat inside the milk. It was cooking together. You took out the meat. You ate the meat. You only have the taste of the milk in the meat. It's not like you have really milk. You got the taste. And so it's going to be asur. But says the rabbis, you can't learn it from basar v'chalav. You know why? Basar v'chalav lo gamrin and chidushu. You cannot learn it from basar v'chalav because it's a chidush, it's a novelty. Meaning anything which is new, which is like a chidush, you cannot learn it from it. Now, what's the chidush? Very simple. What's the chidush? Each of them on their own are good, are mutar.
It's together that you can.
You understand? Meaning each one on its own is permitted. All of a sudden I put them together and now become something prohibited. But I will. You know, that's like, exactly like the Chinese. You understand? So that's a chidush. So he says, my chidush. If you're going to tell me that the chidush is that each one on its own is permitted, and both of them together is going to be asur. What about kilayim? Right? David just said, kilayim, shatnez. You have the same thing. Each one on its own is permitted. So it's not really 100% a chidush because there's other chidushim just like it. But rather, if you're going to be shoreh basar v'chalav even for 24 hours, it should be mutar min Torah. No, not because tam pagum. Because the only time you're going to be chayav on basar v'chalav midoraita is bishul.
Bishul, right? It's cooking
it. You don't cook it. If I soaked it, which is called pickling, kavush. So after 24 hours, it gets the taste.
Cooking.
It's a type of cooking, right? That's the way it is, right? But at the end of the day, I didn't cook min Torah. It's only the Rabbanan. It's not Doraita. Meaning it's mutar. If I pickled it, min Torah.
I thought it was a type of cooking only if it was.
He says even if you soaked it the entire day, it's going to be permitted. But if you're going to come and you're going to cook it, then it's going to be asur. So that is the chidush. But the chidush is that even if you're going to come and you're going to soak it the entire day, it's nothing still. It's only afterwards the coming and the cooking. That's when it's going to be a problem. So ask the Gemara, Rabbi Akiva, Nami, Basar V'chalav Chidush. He says, 1 second. But Rabbi Akiva, it's also going to be a Chidush. So how do we come and we learn Tam Kikar by other Isurim then? But rather, right? Yalif Migiule of the Kochavim. We're learning it from Hagala, from, right, or not Hagala, but basically that which comes out from the pots of the Goyim. Tamar Rachmana, but says the Torah, Kol davar asher yavo ba'esh taviru ba'esh v'teh. Anything which came in a fire, you have to take it out through a fire. Okay? Lememra de yisiru de yisire gulav de chavim lav tam abamo. It's not just tam. The asur is still going to be asur. Hachanam in Oshna Sotu, it's going to be the same isur, which means that this. Can I cook in a goy's pot? So now, if it's not ben yomo, so then it's not in tam livgam. Right? It gives a bad taste. Well, this is ben yomo, and you know it's ben yomo. It's tam kelim and ben yomo. But here, you know it's ben yomo. You just came and he cooked this pig, yeah, and then 2 minutes later he emptied out his pig. He washed the pot and you cook your kosher food in it. Can you do that? For sure not. Now, why?
What?
Can you cook your kosher food in his non-kosher pot?
How long do you need to wait?
Doesn't help. You're not allowed to do it at all. But the avad, if you waited the 24 hours, then it's going to be okay. But the avad, the food,
24 hours?
yes. But then it's food. Yeah. So but says the Torah, the concept of the pleita, the concept of what's coming out of it is still going to be prohibited. And therefore, the reason why is because at the end of the day, when you have these isurim and it's going to be absorbed, the isur in the pot, and then it's going to come out, it's going to become a problem. Or Rabbanan Nami, and according to the rabbis, also, why don't they learn from Giulev de Kochavim? So Elmaleh, he says, Hatam, there is a chidush. Again, the same thing. Because Chol Torah Kula, Noten Tam Nivgam is going to be mutar. But by Giulev de Kochavim, even if it's going to be Tam Nivgam, it's still going to be asur. Because at the end of the day, you have isur, which is inside of this pot. And it's still going to be asur. Meaning, they still said that you had to come and you had to, they didn't just say, you know what, after 24 hours, use their pots. No, you have to kosher their pots. You can't use their pots after 24 hours and say, no, then I'm gone, so don't worry about it. No, you still have to come and you have to, again, the avad, post-factum, if you already used it, that's something different. But if you don't have the b'diavad, you're not allowed to do that.
In our building,
Yeah?
they just put like the swimming.
So now says the Gemara, if right now we're talking about, right, the entire concept of, it's also a chidush, according to Rabbi Akiva. So he comes and he says, right, about so we first said about the Giuleh of the Kochavim. Then we continue with that. We're saying that it was a chidush because by all the Torah, we said, you still have to come, you still have to do Hagala. According to Rabbi Akiva, it's still going to be a chidush. So Amar Rav Huna, right, Barchia, says Rav Huna, lo asa Torah, like Dira Bat Yoma. That's only going to be Bat Yoma. Ben Yomo, what we call. The same day. Right? The Lam not ten dam gam, but it's not going to be done dam gam. And if it was going to be done ten dam gam, so then it's going to be permitted. Again, the diavad, but it's going to be permitted. The Rabbanan, but according to the rabbis that they learned Tam Keikar from the word Mishrat, why didn't they learn it from Giuleh of the Kochavim? That you have to kasher a pot of a goy. So answers the Gemara, Kedera Bat Yuma Nami, even a Kedera Bat Yuma, it's impossible that it doesn't have any type of a pgam whatsoever. So because of that, they just prefer not learning it from Giuleh of the Kochavim, and they prefer learning it from the word of the Mishrat, that Tam Keikar is going to be Doraita. So Elmaleh Ravacha bered Ravavia Ravashi says Ravacha bered Ravavia to Ravashi. He comes and he says, Midrabanan Ishmael Rabbi Akiva, Midrabanan, we're going to learn from Rabbi Akiva. Lav Amni Rabbanan, didn't Rabbanan say, Hi Mishrat, that this Mishrat is Tentam Keikar? Mikanat Adan, so here we're going to learn L'chol Yisur Shabbat Torah. There's the Rabbi Akiva also. The Kamol Mokim Lav Hi Mishrat, Eter Mitzaref Yisur, that he's saying that the Mishrat is teaching you that Eter Mitzaref Yisur, which means that Eter is going to come and is going to be Mitzaref to Yisur. You're going to combine permitted and prohibited. So Lema, what do we say also? Mikanat Adan, from here you learn L'chol Yisur in Shabbat Torah. So Elmaleh, he says, Mishum Davi Nazir v'chatat Shnei Kedurim Kechad. He says Nazir and Chatat are two psukim that they come and they teach you the same thing of Eter Mitzaref L'Yisur. V'chol Shnei Kedurim Kechad. Now, if you have two places teaching the exact same thing, you cannot learn it, right, from other things. It means you can't, because if I come and I have it by one, so if it's by one, I can learn it by other things. But if it's written by two different places, so why is it written specifically by these two and not by anything else? So then I cannot use that terminology, meaning that learning, to other halachot.
To make a deduction.
To make a deduction to other halachot, because if not, just teach it by one, and then I learn it by everything else. The fact that I taught it by two and they both have to teach you the exact same halacha, so therefore I cannot teach about anything else. Because if not, why didn't I learn it? Just like I learned by these two, do 3, do 4. No, and I can't do that. So Nazir was what we just mentioned. Nazir was because of V'chol Mishrat Anavim. That's what we learned. Heter mitzaref leisur. Chatat, what is the chatat? Mahi. The time was we learned in a Braita. Kol asher yiga b'sara yigdash. Anything that touches its flesh is going to become kodesh. Yachol, I thought to say afilu shelo bala, even if you didn't swallow it, the fact that you touch it, it's going to become holy. Tamumma b'sara. What does it mean b'sara? Ad shi bala b'sara. What do you learn from b'sara? Yeah. What do you learn from b'sara? So, for example, if you came and you put shuman chatat and you melted it and you put it on top of a basar, whether it's going to be of shlamim or whatever it is, so therefore it's going to be a problem. Yigdash, liot kamo, becomes like it. Sheim psulahi, that if it became disqualified, yipasel, it's going to become disqualified. Him kshera, if it's going to be kosher, teachel, you could eat it. Kechamur sheba, like the chamur of both of them. It means even though here you have a chatat and a shlamim, and now remember, a chatat is koche kadashim. The shlamim is kadashim kalim. Now you came and you have the chumrah by the koche kadashim more than the koche kadashim kalim. Now you come and you melted, right, the fats of the chatat on the shlamim, so you have to eat it like the chamur sheba, like the more stringent of it. Because here you have both together. You have a shlamim and a chatat in the same animal. Okay? V'Rabbanan, so according to the rabbis, right, why don't we come and we say Heter mitzaref leisur for this pasuk? So he says, Sriche, we need it. Why? If it was only written by a chatat, I would never think that you could learn the nazir from the chatat. Mishum the nazir, mikodshim, you never learn nazir from kodshim. Nazir is not kodshim, it's a different halacha. Kodshim is korbanot, things that go to the mizbeach. Nazir has nothing to do with that. If it was only written by a nazir, you can't learn from a nazir, mishum the chamir isure, because it's so isur, that it's going to be prohibited even from like the pits. From mamash, like everything, so you can't learn from it, right? So therefore, he comes and says, Rabbi Kiva, and according to Rabbi Kiva, that he argues on Chachamim. So Rabbi Kiva says, Elmaleh is going to tell you, what do I need these 2 psukim? If it would have been written chatat, lo gamar nazir mineh, you're right. I can't learn nazir from the chatat. Why? Because we already said that you cannot learn nazir from the chatat. The chulin mikotchin lo gamrim, you cannot learn chulin from kodshi. But dichol rachmana ben nazir. Write it by Nazir. Learn the chatat from Nazir. Because you can learn all the Yisurim from the Torah from Nazir. Meaning that just like you learn according to Rabbi Kiva, so you learn all the other Yisurim in the Torah from Nazir. So teach it by the Nazir and not by the chatat. The Rabbanan, but the rabbis, they're going to tell you chatat le'eter mitzaref l'Yisur, the chulim mikotchin. First of all, to do the chatat, you learn heter is mitzaref from the Yisur. Right? And by chulim from kodshim, you never learn them. The mishrat, you learn tentam keikad. So from here, you're going to learn all the Yisurim Shabbat Torah. So one more time. We've got different psukim. From mishrat, v'chol mishrat anavim, you have a machloke between Rabbi Kiva and Chachamim. Rabbi Kiva says, heter mitzaref to Yisur. Permitting is going to be combined with the Yisur. You got bread and wine, put them together. According to Rabbi Kiva, asur. According to Chachamim, you don't learn heter mitzaref l'isur. Whether you learn tam keikar, if it's got the taste of it, you're done. That's one concept of mishrat. Next, right? According to the rabbis, where do they learn heter mitzaref l'isur? From the chatat. That you're going to have permissible, that it's going to combine with the prohibited, they learn from the chatat. Now, chulin from kodshim, you can't learn it. Okay? Therefore, mishrat teaches you tam keikar, and then you're going to learn all the Yisurim Shabbat Torah from there. Rabbi Akiva, but according to Rabbi Akiva, tarvayu le'eter mitzaref l'Yisur. Both of them are coming to teach you heter mitzaref l'Yisur. Why? There's 2 psukim coming to teach you the same thing. And anything which is 2 psukim coming to teach you the same halacha, you don't learn it. So Amarle Ravashi le Rav Kana, says Ravashi to Rav Kana, Elaha de Tanya, that which we learned in a Braita, Mikol asher yaseh migefen hayayin limed al Yisur Nazir shemitzarfim zamizeh. It's going to teach us on Yisur Nazir that they're going to be mitzarfim together. Or Rabbi Akiva, and according to Rabbi Akiva, Hasha Yeshua, now we're going to say, Heter mitzaref l'Yisur, Yisur le'Yisur mibaye. Meaning like this, if you're going to tell me that you could take Heter and you combine it with Yisur to become Yisur, so then do you even need a pasuk to teach you that if you have Yisur and Yisur, like 2 different Yisurim, that it's going to be mitzaref? Obviously, it's going to be mitzaref. Okay? Because if heter mitzaref to isur, kal vachomer isur is mitzaref to isur. So Elmaleh comes and he says, heter li isur bevat achat, isur li isur afilu bezeh achar zeh. He says there's a difference between them. Heter to isur is only when you put them together. Meaning I soak the bread with the wine, and then I come and I eat it. So heter is mitzaref to isur in one moment, because it's in the same moment. So now I'm going to have it. To do with the isurim, the chidush is that even one after another. Meaning if you're going to have one half of a kazait of wine, and half of a kazait of grapes, or half of a kazait of grapes, and half of a kazait of the peels, or half of a kazait of the peels, and half of a kazait of the pits, right? They're mitzarfim. So it's not at the same time. It's one after each other. So that's why that's why it's not a kavachomer. Heter mitzaref to Yisur was at the same time. I've got bread, wine, same time. Put them together, eat it. It's going to be Asur. Heter mitzaref to Yisur. That's Batachat. Yisur to Yisur. I wouldn't want Kavachomer. If you have Yisur to Yisur, Kavachomer. So no, the Yisur to Yisur, the chidush is that even one after another, I'm going to be mitzaref for them.
But in
And
this
that's
case,
the
they're from the
chidush.
same min.
But no, but again, but it's different Yisurim. One Yisur is a Mishra. One of them is the Charsanim. One of them is the Zag. One of them is Anavim. Each one is a different thing.
The fact that they come from the same species.
It doesn't matter. But at the end, they're different Yisurim. Each one was brought a different Yisur. Okay? Have a wonderful day.